Welcome to the Slashers Sunday birthday edition. Today is my birthday, so I thought it would be fun to review a slasher movie, which I personally consider a slasher that a lot of people would not. Now, to clarify, my birthday was Saturday. You'll be watching this on Sunday. I'm recording this as of Saturday at the moment, so it is technically my birthday, so you missed it, dicks. Thanks for nothing. No, just kidding. But yeah, this is one I wanted to do for Slasher Sunday for a while. And I watched it like a week ago, and I was going to do it for last Slasher Sunday, but things came up. I just haven't been able to do any videos lately. But hopefully, I'm starting a new job here in a couple days. I don't know how much time I'm going to have for movies right now, so I'm struggling to try to get any movies watched. On my own. I have time to watch them with my family, but with myself, it's very, very difficult. But anyway, yeah, I've watched a lot of things lately, but very, very little alone. All right, so this is, and here's another thing. Like, to me, this is James Cameron's directorial debut. The whole Piranha 2 thing, I totally believe that he had very little to nothing to do with the movie. In fact, I read that he broke into the editing room to edit his version of Piranha 2 because his name was going to be put onto it, and he only filmed like a very little amount of stuff, and he went and he brought it, and then they found him and they ripped it apart and did not put that, obviously, that cut out. So he had very little involvement. This for me is his full first feature debut, and I have to put it up there with any directorial debut ever. I think it is as good as any directorial debut in cinema history. So if you consider this to be a directorial debut like me, then I mean, what are other ones that you would consider? I'd like to know your list of directorial debuts. I mean, Jesus, man, there's some really great ones out there, but this is up there for sure. And this not only really made Cameron's career, but it made Arnold's career as well. A lot of people gave him shit for casting him, and the critics were not very kind to Arnold's performance in this. But that's something with Arnold. As a big Arnold fan growing up, and still a big Arnold fan watching all his old movies and whatnot, he's nowhere near as bad of an actor as a lot of people claim that he is. He gets cast in the right roles for him, and he plays these roles very well. The Terminator could have been played by someone else, yeah, but he was just perfect for it. And I love this film because of him, and the franchise is him. I mean, that's why we've had 5 movies now, and he's made some bit of an appearance in all of them. The Salvation cameo thing counts, which I haven't watched that one. I watched it in theaters, but I haven't watched it since. I didn't care for it. But the Terminator franchise as a whole, I'm a big, big fan of. I really like the first 3. I know a lot of people shit on 3, and I know a lot of people shit on Genesis, but I really like Genesis too. So I'm very excited to review that one and rewatch it here. I think the trailer is what killed that movie for a lot of people. We'll get there. And I even really liked the Sarah Connor Chronicles, which is really hard to say. Great show. Went a little too soon, but it is what it is. Let's get into this movie. Now, one thing this movie has is a great soundtrack from a guy that really didn't do much else besides this movie, which is really odd. You would think he would have had a career, but he didn't. So Arnold comes out, and the 2 punks in the opening, there's 3, but I don't know the other guy. But 2 of the punks, you got Brian Thompson, who I think is one of the scariest villains of all time in the Cobra movie. Sylvester Stallone's Cobra. Fucking pig. That's another one I consider to technically be a slasher. So Brian Thompson's in some arguable slashers. He's just so fucking scary in that movie. And we also got Bill Paxton here, which obviously they had a working career, Cameron and him. They worked together on many movies. And he has some skid marks down his face. I don't know if that's a tattoo or what the hell, if he puts that on with makeup every night. But it's pretty funny. And I'm not sure who the hell, I think these guys are a couple cans short of a 6-pack, because who the fuck would see Arnold Schwarzenegger, whether you knew who that was or not, the mass of this man walking through the street butt naked, and to fuck with him because you have a switchblade. Really? A switchblade against Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger, even if he wasn't a Terminator. And that's what I kind of always say about this movie. Even if Arnold wasn't a Terminator in this movie, he would still be absolutely terrifying. Like, the fact that he's also a a T800 or a Model 101 or whatever is just like exuberantly more terrifying. I think he's one of the greatest slasher villains of all time in this movie. He's relentless. This is like Jason during, this came out the same year as Final Chapter, right? So, and I do feel like Cameron was taking from some of that Jason, some Halloween 2. We got the scene at the end here when he comes out of the car and he's burning and he's walking and he falls and he's burning. Very Michael Myers-esque in that way. So, and he kills tons and tons and tons of people in this movie. Yes, it's with guns, so it couldn't technically be slashing, but there's a lot of slashing in the next movie from the T-1000. He's cutting people with knives and slurs and whatnot. But I would actually consider that more of a monster movie, to be completely honest. And that's what I'm going to be doing for Monster Monday. So there you go. Cat's out of the bag. I'm not exactly sure why Reese is chased in the opening here. Like, the cops see him and they're like, hey! And they like shine a flashlight on him, and then they like jump out of the car and they start running after him, and then the bum's like, he stole my pants. And it's, would the cops really chase after this guy for that? I just don't buy it personally, but it is what it is. Then he pulls a gun on the other guy, and yes, from there it would get out of control where cops would be hunting him down. But I don't know, when I was watching this, I was like, why do the cops even begin the pursuit? That doesn't make any sense to me. So it doesn't matter. I just found it very odd that they even bothered. And the Nike slipping down in, like, I think it's like a photo booth, or it's probably a dressing room, right? That makes sense. I always thought it was a photo booth in my head, but now I'm thinking about it for like half a second. I'm like, oh, that's definitely a dressing room. But it looks like one of those photo booths, right? But yeah, I love that. Just the Nike slipping down. It's just something that's always stuck in my mind as an iconic scene. Sarah Connor might, raise the fucking leader of the resistance one day, and she becomes a badass in T2, and she's, an iconic character and whatnot, but she sucks as a waitress. She is terrible. Her friend, though, what the hell is up with her friend? She comes and gets her while she's busy on her shift, and she's like, come here, you got to see something. You're going to love this. And then it's some poor mother of like 2 or 3 shot to death in her home, and they share the same name. You're going to love this. You're going to love that some woman with your name was murdered right in front of her children. Her friend has a sick-ass sense of humor. I laugh every time I hear that. I'm like, you're going to love this? Who would love that? It was weird to see Dick Miller in this as the gun salesman when the T-800 or the Model 101, whatever you want to say it, the Terminator here, goes in to buy all of his weapons. Do love that he asks for a gun that doesn't yet exist, although I feel like he should be updated to what exists in 1984, but it doesn't matter. I just like that he asked for this plasma gun, and the guy's like, hey man, only what you see here. But yeah, it was weird to see Dick Miller because he just died recently, very recently. And so I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in this. And the effects in this movie are just, they're fucking fantastic. I mean, for 1984, I feel like they hold up super, super well. There was very, very little stuff in this movie. Yes, it's noticeable at times, and I don't care. Like, I'm not a person that hates CGI by any means. I like it, but I love practicals as well. I'm somebody who can enjoy both, and the practicals in this are extremely impressive and do not take me out of the movie for a second. Yes, it's clearly not Arnold when his eye's missing and he looks over, but it's an amazing animatronic. It's an amazing makeup job, and it has to be commended because it really does look super good in this movie, and I feel like it holds up so damn well. Love the call from the boyfriend. First, I'm gonna rip the buttons off your blouse. Oh, so fucking funny. One by one. Guy's such a creep, but they seem to have a good rapport with one another. He kisses her on the cheek and she laughs. So at first it seems like she's, I don't know, when she's talking to Ginger, maybe she actually thinks he's a creep, but that's just playful. And I like that. I like their banter back and forth. I find it hilarious that Ginger listens to fucking headphones while having sex. Anybody ever done that? Anybody listened to headphones and was like singing and dancing? It reminds me of Court's date in Friday the 13th Part 6, except for she's not wearing headphones. She's just fucking him to the song, and he has to last the rest of like the only 10 more minutes or whatever it was. 12 minutes? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen that, unfortunately. But yeah, anybody ever fucking been wearing headphones during sex? Jesus. I would not be into that. I wouldn't want to wear them, and I wouldn't want anyone to wear them. I would just be like, you into this? But she seemed to be super into it, and he was pretty horny, so I guess he was just going to take what he can get. Then yeah, Sarah's out and she's at the bar and she went out for pizza by herself because some dude stood her up. Tough love, good thing, because Kyle Reese was coming to sweep her off her feet for the night. But yeah, she like goes up to the TV and she's like, "Don't turn that off." And no, everyone just looks at her like she's crazy. There's somebody who was just murdered on the television. He turned it up really loud. Everyone heard, like, Sarah Connor dead. There was no one in there was like, "Oh my God, are you okay? Did you know her? What's wrong?" Nothing. They all just looked at her like she was a lunatic. And then she walked out without anybody even acknowledging her except for to give her dirty looks. Wow, what a bunch of assholes. I mean, I know it's Los Angeles and all, but fuck. I grew up there, and I don't remember people being that cold. And the cop who's guarding Ginger gets called away. I don't think he would have done a whole hell of a lot anyways, to be completely honest. The line that the boyfriend gives him, "Don't make me bust you up, man," one of my fucking most memorable lines of my childhood. My brothers and I would constantly quote that line when we would pretend like be mad at each other, and you know, they'd come at us with a pillow or something. We'd pick something up and be like, "Don't make me bust you up, man." Such a good line. I just always remember that. And now, if Sarah wouldn't have called after the Terminator executes Ginger and he wouldn't have heard her voice on the answering machine, would he have continued to pursue, or would he have thought he got Sarah Connor? He seems to be pretty efficient, so I think he would have realized. He would have went through the house, saw the pictures, and been like, you know, I got to make sure 100%. But it's just bad timing on Sarah's part, for sure, that she happened to call in that moment. And I like that this movie kind of keeps her in the dark. Like, Reese could be the killer, and you don't know. I mean, we don't know what the hell's going on at this point. And how did Reese get in the bar? I guess he had money. Later in the movie, he pulls out a wad of cash. I don't know, he's just stealing shit from people. That bum might have had cash on him. I mean, bums beg for change and get dollar bills. Maybe it was stuffed in his pants. I don't know. But it seemed like a lot of money, because she was like, yeah, that would pay for a room. And it's like, well, then why is the homeless guy not getting a room? I guess he likes it out on the street. He just didn't want to waste all his money on a room and wanted it for food or booze or something. I guess that's stereotyping. Sorry, homeless people who aren't watching this. And the "come with me if you want to live" line is fucking great. And it's obviously a through line throughout the series of a reoccurring line, along with like, "get out." I love that line from this one and the next one. "I'll be back," obviously, which is where the infamous line came from in this movie that he coined here and continued to say throughout his entire career. Although he doesn't say it in the third one. He says alterations of it, which I thought was kind of fun. Speaking of alterations, he can alter his voice in this, which I always like that. I think that's pretty funny, especially when he does it in the second one. He takes it, "What's wrong with Wolfie? Wolfie's just fine, honey." And yeah, we find out the 600 series has rubber skin. I'm guessing that what is it called? The freaking, oh, I have it written down. I forget what that thing's called. The Destroyer, or what the fuck is that thing called? I'll come back to it. But that sure as shit didn't look like it had a rubber skin. So, that's just the way that Reese lives and the way that we see his life after that. I always see this in these movies, like the Matrix sequels, where you see Zion and you see all these like post-apocalyptic Walking Dead or something. I'm like, no, I have no interest. I don't want to live that way. Absolutely not. I mean, yes, it'd be one thing to say it now and then one thing to say it when I wanted to live. I probably would change my tune, but right now, as it sits, no. And the lines that he's giving Sarah about like that thing cannot be reasoned with, that thing out there. Oh my God, dude. I think that Michael Bihn's performance in this, especially during the interrogation scene where Lance Henriksen and the other dude are kind of getting on him. And Dr. Silverman is in there, who's a reoccurring character for the first three movies. I think it's fucking fantastic. I think he's fantastic in this. I love everybody in this. I think everyone's excellent in this. It's great to see Lance Henriksen in this. I got to meet him at Mad Monster Party, and I asked him about Piranha 2. And he got all annoyed and denied that he was even in it. And I was like, I know you were. But yeah, it's cool that he brought him over from Piranha 2 to do this. So there is some connectivity with a movie that I don't even think he really had anything to do with, at least. But he got Lance Henriksen out of it, which is great. And he's great in this, as always. He's just, well, I shouldn't say as always. He does paycheck movies now. He's just that B-movie actor that's in every 2-cent fucking film. But once upon a time, back with like, Near Dark and Aliens and this and freaking the list, Pumpkinhead, and the list goes on and on. He was just awesome. He was in so much cool shit. Stone Cold. Oh man, thank you to Johnny for that movie. I love that fucking film. And now, if they didn't send back the Terminator, John Connor would have never been born. It was they fucked themselves by sending him back. How trippy is that to think about? I like the scene in the second movie where John talks about, how it messes with your head when you start to think about time travel and this and that. And with these movies, it's just, I don't know, the way they set these up, it doesn't seem like you can alter anything. Because John Connor wouldn't have existed. If Kyle Reese is his father, then everything has to go the way that it has to go. Judgment Day has to happen. I don't know. I mean, they kind of fixed that issue in the third one. I know a lot of people shit on it, but at least Connor does then he ends up hooking up with the same girl he would have if the Terminator wouldn't have come back in the second movie. Blah, blah. I like that. And we'll get to those things. And yeah, I mean, we find out that they were slaves and Connor was the one that freed them. I would have loved to have seen that in a movie. I don't think that happens in Salvation, but it's been a long damn time since I've seen it. She throws the car into park while they're driving. I don't know what the hell that would do to a car, but it definitely would never work again, to my knowledge. The car chase is just tense, man. Holy shit. All the chases in this movie is just a thrill a minute all the way throughout. Him fixing himself, cutting out his eyeball and all that. Ugh, such fantastic practical effects. Just amazing stuff. We find out that they have won the war and that they found a time machine and that Reese went through. But for some reason, it seems like fucking John Connor and Kyle Reese had a lot of time to talk before he sent him through. And the way he describes it, it seems like he sent him through almost instantly before the place blew up. And it's like, if the place blew up, didn't John die? Like, I don't know. And we know by the second movie, I don't know if this is, thought of at this point, but I guess, yeah, that's Sarah's dilemma at the end of this movie. Should she tell John that Kyle is? And because she puts it in the tape, I guess that then does tell John to send him, knowing that Kyle would have to go back and die to be his father so that he could be born. Yeah, it's a total mind trip. Total fucking mind trip. But then, of course, that doesn't, yeah, it doesn't. All right, moving on. I'll be back. We already mentioned that. Infiltrator, there's his name. The police shootout, excellent, man. Holy shit. When he drives the car through and he's coming down, he's just blowing everyone away. And he's taking the thing and he rips out the electric and he kills the power. And he's just walking through there like a slasher villain. Just such great shit. Such great shit. We find out by this that Sarah taught John Connor how to fight, which very much, works with Terminator 2. So I like that continuity there. And I already said a bunch of this. The red lights in the darkness when the infiltrator's coming through and he's cutting everyone down. Great shot. The "fuck you asshole" line, hilarious. Another iconic moment. And Reese still has the bum pants on when he's in the little hotel room there with Sarah. I think that's funny that she ends up having sex with him when he's wearing like the dirtiest clothes. Gross. And the Terminator has to go up to Big Bear, California to act as her mother and then come back down to the hotel, which would have given them enough time, because I used to live in Lake Arrowhead, which is right next door to Big Bear. And it's, it's a pretty good drive. It's like a 2-hour drive. So 2 hours up, and then once you got that call, it'd be like 2 hours back. So it would have given them enough time to fuck and relax and get all cuddly. And then he teaches her how to make pipe bombs, which of course she then goes over and passes down to John there, probably. The whole "I came across time for you because I love you, I looked at a picture of you." I guess all the women in his time are probably pretty grody, so a picture of this clean woman in the future is probably very enticing to him, although she would be dead and gone by this point, and like 80 if she was still alive. Now 60 something. But yeah, it's kind of like a pedophilia type thing because she's screwing someone who's not even born yet. I don't know. We get some boobies. I just got pointed out. Bike chase, awesome stuff. Such a great one. Him getting hit by the truck, awesome. Always love fucking trucks hitting people head on with like a motorcycle or something, very a la Mad Max. Get Out, we already mentioned that line. The pipe bomb in the truck, pretty risky move with Sarah, who seems to be able to outrun a truck. He throws that in there and this thing blows up, which would have more than likely killed Sarah. She misses that blast by nothing, but I guess at that point he really had nothing. The skeleton effects are just excellent for the time. Holy shit. And then they go in there and she's using robots against the robots that are using robots against her. Ooh, another mind fuck. And Reese kills himself to save her, but doesn't mean to. He just throws it in there and tries to roll away to live, and unfortunately is hit in the blast. So that's kind of a shame. And Sarah has to save herself. She's the damsel in distress no longer. She has to pull her shit together and save herself, which we'll get into how I feel about that stuff in the second movie, because I'm guaranteeing you 100% that people nowadays would, if Terminator 2 came out now after Terminator 1, people would be like, oh my god, social justice warrior agenda, they made Sarah Connor fucking buff, manly, this and that. Get the fuck out of here with your stupid shit. Just because a woman is tough in a movie doesn't mean it's a fucking agenda. And even if it is, who gives a shit? Are you really that insecure as a man that you're fucking worried about a woman having some screen time? Okay, I'm not here to preach. It's just so fucking stupid and I'm so sick of reading about it. All right. And you're terminated, fucker. There's your smile, you son of a bitch line. The electricity that's coming off of him doesn't hurt her at all. Well, oh, okay, that's fine. There's a storm coming. I know. Some Han Solo shit right there. I know a fucking storm's coming, bitch. I created it. But yeah, so, and then it's a mindfuck to think that if Sarah would have destroyed the technology, that, well, I don't know, because T2 happens anyways. They come back and Dyson's there, but the events would be so different. Dyson wouldn't have found what then became Cyberdyne, which then became Skynet. I don't know. If Sarah would have destroyed the evidence, if she would have taken that arm and that chip right there in that moment, then I guess she would have stopped Judgment Day right there and then. I mean, how was she to know? Of course, but yeah. It's all trippy. It's all, it's movies and it's time travel. When time travel comes into movies, it gets really wonky. It gets real fucking wonky. So anyways, I haven't done a review in a long time. It was fun to get back to this. I will do Terminator 2 tomorrow. But other than that, Happy birthday to me. All right, guys.